everyone, welcome to episode 78 of the Arieknits podcast. My name is Ariel and this is a video podcast where I talk about all the things that I have been knitting and spinning on for the past week. In this case, the past 2 weeks, because I didn't film an episode last weekend. I was away for a little vacation for the weekend. So I'm back. I'm happy to be back and get you all updated on what I have been working on. And this episode today, I have a finished object. I also have some new cast-ons, and I have a lot of fiber goodness that's happening. I've acquired some fiber, I've dyed some fiber, and I started spinning some new fiber. So yeah, with all of that, let's start with the normal, how I start the videos with what I am wearing. This is not a finished object. I usually try and wear some new finished object for the videos, but I didn't have any garments to wear newly finished objects for today's podcast, so I'm just wearing one that's kind of recently new, I think within the past couple of weeks, month. This is the Asopo cardigan by Sari Nordlund. It's a pattern that's in her book, Softly Timeless Knits, and it's the first and only thing so far that I've knit from her book, and I've really been enjoying wearing it. I knit this using Rerum Natura Gilliatt yarn, and I knit size 2. I knit the cropped version of this pattern, and I used US 7 or 4.5 millimeter needles to knit this. Final measurements, 45 inches in circumference, and that gives me 15 inches of positive ease. It is, I think, slightly more positive ease than the recommended positive ease, but I just really wanted this oversized, really kind of this major drop shoulder look to it, and I've really been enjoying this. I actually also wore this last weekend. So last weekend, the reason why I was away, I went to the Oregon coast for a wedding, and I was trying to pick, I was like, what do I wear? I want to wear some kind of knitwear to this thing, and what do I do? And so I actually did wear this cardigan over my dress that I was wearing, and I think it worked out really well. It was perfect as far as warmth goes. This kept me very warm, and I thought it was really pretty. I got compliments on it during the event from other people, and so it must have been a good choice for me. Just very cute. I love that this is becoming one of my go-to cardigans to wear when I'm just I just want to throw something on, and for it to be really easy and not really have any kind of fuss with it bunching weird with whatever I'm wearing underneath or anything like that. So it's been good, and it has this really cute cable details on the sleeves if you haven't seen this cardigan before, and I'll just stand up now so you can see that it is that more cropped feeling. It's not full length, right? You can see it's shorter than the shirt that I'm wearing right now. No buttons, but it has this folded over collar at the top, so it's really cozy, and yeah, very simple, classic looking piece, I think. So yeah, that is what I'm wearing today. That's what I wore. This is what I wore all day today and now, so I decided to just keep with it for the video today. Okay, so let's move on to my finished object. So I actually finished knitting this on the drive down to Oregon, and it was actually so it was in the car. I finished knitting this in the car. This is my Verglas wrap by Lindsey Fowler. It is done, it is washed and dry, and so this is all of it. Now you can see I used 4 of the Coast to Coast Yarn Co. soup sock sets for this, and so you can see, and I'll show it in the order that I knit them. Each of these kind of panels is one sock set with the full, it's pretty much using the entire sock set. So the entire full variegated yarn plus pretty much all of the mini skein as well for this middle section here. So this is sock set number 1. This is the second sock set, and each one, the middle mini skein section, is a different knit pattern, stitch pattern. So you can see this one has like little yarn over lace things. This is the third one, has little trees, and then this last red one, which has this, I think they call it basket weave texture, which is really nice. And yeah, so I finished up this section here. I think I pretty much knit most of this last red section on the car ride down, and that made me really happy. I will say it was kind of like a bulky project to bring on a short weekend trip, because as you can see, like, it's a lot. It's kind of a lot to have, but I knew that I just needed to get this done, and what a better way to just work on some mindless stitch, like this stitch pattern knitting during a car ride. So even though it's going to be a bulky project, and I usually don't bring really big bulky projects on short trips like that, or even, maybe long trips, but you know, like a really short car trip, I was just like, I will get it done, and otherwise I don't know when I'll knit on it. So yeah, so I got it done, very happy about it. Details again on this, I knit size large for this pattern. There is a smaller size, but the only real difference is just how many sock sets you use. So the large is 4 sock sets, and the smaller size is just 3, and so there's not really too much of a difference in the pattern itself, besides just how many times you repeat each of the sections. And I use US 5 needles or 3.75 millimeter needles to knit this. And yeah, I thought it was a great pattern. I really enjoyed it. It was starting to feel a bit like hard to work on towards the end, just because it's so big and it's just, again, repetitive. But what did help is, again, each of the sections being, completely new sock sets. You can obviously change it to be, use more colors if you want. It was really nice to have, like, in the middle of using your main skein to switch out and use the mini skein. So that was a really nice kind of, like, halfway checkpoint to try and reach to, and, like, kind of have that as, like, goal points on just being like, you can do it, just keep going and working on it. So that was really nice. One thing I will say for modifications for this, I didn't really modify anything except for how many rows I knit during this main section here. So it does tell you how many times to repeat this stitch pattern here. It's pretty much, once you do the setup rows, like the joining or the start of it, then it says it's like a 2-row repeat, and so you just repeat however many times. And the first time here, in this first, not that you'll be able to tell because they all look around the same size, right? In this first one, I did that number of repeats, did this mini skein, I was fine. And then during the second part, I was like, I'm gonna run out of yarn. And so I actually did like 2 less repeats than the pattern states. But it really, again, for a project like this, doesn't really matter if you're don't reach that number of repeats, or it's off a little bit on either side of that mini skein section, because you can't really tell. So that, it didn't bother me, but just continuing on from there for the next sections, I'm pretty sure what I did was I just, however many times it says to do that repeat, I just did 1 less. And it worked out well for me. I think at the end of this, the last section, I had just like a super small amount of yarn left. I didn't weigh it, but it might be like 1 or 2 grams of yarn. I mean, maybe not even. Like, it was such a small amount of yarn left, and so it worked out well. And this pattern is such a great way to use up entire sock sets. And the reason why I paused was because I was like, the mini skein, actually, I did have some left over, which I was I'm happier that the sections that I almost ran out of yarn were the main big sections, because if you miss out on some, it's fine. But for the mini skein sections, I really didn't want to run out of yarn for that, because like you can't just like, I'm sure you could figure out something, but if you were short rows, you know, like you ran out of yarn in the middle of a stitch pattern, you would notice, like visibly be able to tell that something went weird with that, like you didn't finish it. So I'm glad that the mini skein section was a part I didn't have to worry about running out of yarn. So yeah, but it all worked out really well. Used up pretty much all of the 4 sock sets I had, which is great as far as, you know, using yarn from stash. I enjoyed it a ton. I love how all of these colors look together. This is so long. Oh, and I want to mention, so I did, how am I going to wear this? Definitely as a scarf, right? Because it will wrap around a bajillion times, I think. Probably have to do it somehow so it's not so long. But, okay, I washed this. I was debating, and I think I discussed this on some of a previous episode. I wasn't feeling super confident about how I was going to wash and block this. And by block, I mean just kind of like lay out to dry. I was really worried more about this section with really dark red and this like white yarn color. I'll stand up so you can see how long this is draping on me. Yeah, this is cozy. So I was thinking that I was going to steam block this instead of dunking it in water and soaking it and then doing that whole thing of, you know, drying it with a towel and then laying it out to dry. I was really worried about the soaking in water part. But last night I was like, I'm gonna go for it, and I'll just keep an eye on it. Like if it starts bleeding, then I'll take it out really fast and hope that it's fine. And I mean, as you can see, nothing bad happened to the really white sections. There was like, oh, sorry, that was the wrong side. No bleeding happened. And I don't know if I've ever had a project with such high contrast, or with a red and white especially. I don't think I've had a project like that. And so this is like the first time I've had such a potential for things to go wrong when soaking it in water, and it didn't. I made sure to use pretty, like, it was not warm water. I wouldn't say it was ice cold water, but definitely room temperature or colder water for this. And I used wool wash, as I always do. I don't know if that helps it or not. And I only let it soak for like 10-15 minutes. Sometimes I just let it soak for like hours because I'm just like, meh, I want to knit for a little bit while I wait for that to soak. But in this case, I was like, no, I'm going to watch it for a little bit and then go away for a little bit and just come back at like 10-15 minutes. And it's fine. And I'm really happy about that. Because now I feel, you know, like I can wash it, which is really great. And blocking this, or laying it out to dry, was kind of, I didn't know what to do. I was considering folding this in half so that it wasn't as long, laying it flat to dry. But I was worried about, again, even though soaking didn't make the colors bleed from the red, I was worried that maybe if I was laying it out to dry and I had it laying on a different color, that it might kind of cause problems. And so I just kind of have like this clothes dryer thing, like, or like hanger thing that you like lay out. I don't know what it's called, but it has just kind of like, I don't know. Anyway, I had it laying across this whole thing, and I had it kind of like in between the rods like this, like lay out like this, and so it was kind of all just like draping down like this across all of the things. So it was like this, and so it didn't take up too much space to lay across all the way. I hope that made sense. I don't know if I'm making sense right now, but yeah, I'm just really happy that no color bleeding occurred. And even the water, like when I drained the water, like there wasn't that much dye. It really wasn't super noticeable that came off of any of the yarn here. So that was all really nice. And this is now, it's draping really nicely. All the stitch details have opened up. And yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything more I have to say about this. I feel like I've talked about it for a good amount of time across the podcast for the last few months, I think, because it's just taken me that long. And so I think that is all I have to say. I guess if I forget something really major, I'll bring it up again on another podcast. But yeah, I'm happy it's done. And it was a big project. But I really love the colors on this. Again, this is like, the pattern is called Verglas wrap, but to me, will always be my soup shawl. And it just makes me really happy to finally see all of the colors together and all of it draping really nicely together. So yeah, that is my Verglas wrap. That's a very long story on my Verglas wrap, but it's also a very long shawl / scarf pattern. So yeah, it's all good. So that is my one finished object for these past 2 weeks, but I finished it like last week. Okay, next let me talk about my works in progress, and then at the end of that I'll talk about my new cast-ons. But yeah, before my new cast-ons, let's talk about this is my next project. This was the second project that I brought with me on my trip last weekend. This is, again, it was kind of a bulkier project, which I don't usually bring on trips, but I just didn't have any good trip projects really on my needles, and I was trying to think if I wanted to cast on anything new. I did cast on one new thing for the trip, which you'll see, but I was like, I don't want to cast on 3 new projects just for this trip. But anyway, this is one of the projects I brought on the trip with me. This is the Downtown Hoodie by Tori. And do I have a stitch marker? Oh, I do have a stitch marker. I think this is a stitch marker from where I was 2 weeks ago. I was working on the body, and so during my trip on the last weekend, I finished the rest of the body, and I finished the body hem ribbing at the bottom here. And then this week I picked up and finished one sleeve. So I finished the left sleeve here, and I am currently working on the second sleeve. I just got through working the stripes, and so now I just have the main color and the rest of the sleeve to work on. Yes, okay, before I continue talking about how this is going so far, yarn I am using for this is, oh my gosh, it's all Coast to Coast yarn so far. So Coast to Coast yarn, Classic DK, both of the colors. Main color is Earthen, which is the purple color, and it's like a really pale purple gray, I guess. It definitely looks different like in the skein, depending on what colors it has next to it, but it's like a gray purple. For the contrast color for the stripes is Cortinarius. And I'm knitting size 2 because I really want like an oversized hoodie. And I'm using US 6 needles, 4.0 millimeter needles for this. And yeah, okay. So one thing that I noticed while knitting this, and something I didn't notice about the pattern, the design, until I got to that section, is actually at the bind off for the ribbing, and this is the case for the body and also for the sleeves. And when I look back, it's again for like the Asopo cardigan that I'm wearing, there's some details about it that I just didn't notice in pictures until you kind of look, because they're small details. So the hem for this is not a ribbed bind off. It is actually just a normal knit bind off. And you actually do once you're done, sorry, I should probably just like show this to you. Once you're done knitting your 1x1 rib, you knit for one row entirely, and then you do a knit bind off knitwise, and then so you get that, braided look of the bind off. And I was considering, I was like, oh, do I want to do that, or do I just do what I know I like and is seems to be standard for 1x1 rib bind off, is either like a tubular bind off maybe, right? And I love a tubular bind off. So I was like, do I want to do, what the pattern says, or do I just want to do a tubular bind off? And I looked at the pictures of Tori Yu's version of this, and I was like, oh, you definitely can tell that it is this like knit bind off, and I actually thought it looked pretty cute. And I don't think that it would, as long as you don't bind off super tight with the knit bind off, I think it would be okay as far as stretch wise, as long as you're kind of like careful about that. And so I did what the pattern states for the bind off, and I actually really like it, and I think it's cute. I don't think it's something I would do for, other patterns that have 1x1 rib. I'll probably just stick to a tubular bind off. But for this case, because I could see it in the final product in Tori Yu's pictures, and I thought it looked cute with the design, I went with it, and yeah, I think it's cute. I think it works. So it looks a little bunched up and kind of weird because, I didn't block this yet. It's not washed and it's not, laying totally flat, but I think once it gets, here, let me try and lay this a little more flat. Once it's blocked, I'm going to probably block it out like this, and so it's a little more straight and flat, and I think that looks really cute. So I did that for the hem, and it is also the same for the sleeve cuffs. You can see that braid that goes across for that knit bind off, knit bind off, bind off, knit wise. Yeah. The one thing, especially again, tension wise for this bind off, for the sleeves, I think especially I wanted to be careful and, bind off on the side of it being a little on the looser side versus on the tight side, because it would really suck if your hand couldn't go through your sleeve cuff. So yeah, I tried this on after I finished this first sleeve, and I really like the fit, so everything's looking really promising for this. I think the stripes are really cute on this, and yeah, I think it's going to be a really cozy hoodie, my second knit hoodie, and this one will be oversized, unlike the other one, which is a bit more cropped, so the first hoodie I ever knit was the no sweatshirt pattern, which is more cropped. I made it a little longer. I made that one a little longer because otherwise it would have been really, really cropped, but it is more cropped and fitted. But this one will be oversized. So far it's just looking like a normal sweater because I haven't done anything as far as the hood for this. But yeah, I just wanted to get the sleeves done before I work on the hood. So yeah, I think in the pattern though, the order is hood first and then the sleeves. So I don't know, we'll see. I mean, again, it doesn't really matter, but maybe doing the hood last would have, maybe it'd be really hard to work with because the rest of the sweater plus the sleeves are kind of everywhere, and moving it, the sleeves might be, doing that. So I don't know, but I just wanted to I wanted to do is I want to finish working with the stripes, because even though it's only 2 colors you're working with and it's not color work, right? You're just working with one at a time. I just don't like that yarn management. Twisting the yarn. I don't like it. So I wanted that part to be over with. So yeah, okay, one more thing I want to talk about is for the sleeves, at least for my size. I didn't check the instructions for the other sizes, but size 2 that I'm knitting, the sleeve decreases only start after the stripes have already finished being knit. So there's no decreases Actually, yeah, I mean, even longer than the stripes. So right where this finger is, or right, maybe I should fold it, like right about here. All of this part of the sleeve is all knit straight, no decreases, and then I think you can see the decreases happening all the way up until the cuff. I knit the sleeves to pattern length measurements and worked out well. I also do prefer a longer sleeve than a sleeve that's too short, and so they are on the longer side. Like if you don't, this is not totally accurate because, you know, I'm not wearing it, and wearing something actually changes, but you can see that it goes beyond my wrist. But again, especially for something like a hoodie, like I want to wear this over like everything. I want it to be long. I want to be able to like have my sleeve like cover my arm, my hand, so I can like do this with it. And so it's a perfect sleeve length, and I don't think I made any modifications so far for this. Just followed measurements, followed the number of stripes. You can always add stripes too if you want, but I kept to the 8 contrast color stripes for the body and for the sleeves. And it's looking really cute. So, and it's a DK weight project, so the knitting on it feels like it goes a lot faster than some of my fingering weight projects, which is always nice, I think, to have a DK weight project on my needles. Okay. Next up is my Mahla top by Sari Nordlund. This one I also made some good progress on this past 2 weeks, and so let me just show you what I have so far. Ta-da! So yes, again, Mahla top by Sari Nordlund. Yarn I am using is Sewrella Classic Sport base in the colorway Brick. I love this color so much. I am knitting size 2, and I'm using US 4 needles or 3.5 millimeter needles to knit this. I am also using the Sewrella circular knitting needle, interchangeable needle set to knit this. So it all feels on brand, on theme. Yeah, so I am working on the body now. Oh, actually, so what I did from 2 weeks ago, I finished my first ball of yarn, and so once I finished that first ball of yarn, I think I was, oh, here, my stitch marker. I believe I was like right here on the body, so that got me from the top down to there with one ball of yarn. And then for the second ball of yarn, and this is what I usually do for garments when I run out of one ball of yarn, and if I'm connected enough underneath the arm hole, I will, well, I guess in this case there's no sleeves, so I did the ribbing around both of the armholes and also the neck ribbing, because I feel like, I don't know, it just makes, you know, the piece look a bit more finished while you're working on it, and just gives you a better idea on what the final end product is going to look like as you continue to add length to the body. And while you're trying it on, I feel like having those finishing edges on there helps, again, with like fitting when you try it on, to see if you like the fit and if you need to knit longer, if that makes sense. So yeah, so I did do the ribbing for the neck and the arms. I don't think I changed anything there. It is a 1x1 rib with a tubular bind off for all of that, and so that worked out well. And then also, as you can see, I went and continued on working on the body from my stitch marker here. Lots of cabling and bobbles, although not too many bobbles. It really isn't too bad. You only ever have to do at most 4 bobbles in one row. I think that's right, because it alternates, and then so 1, 2, and then 3, 4. 2 on the front, 2 on the back during one row at the same time. So it's not too bad, but it still is a lot of knitting. Those cable rows just kind of feel like they take a really long time. But let me just show you the back so that you can see kind of like the shoulder shaping that happens here. So you can tell that like pickup line from the back and making that front panel sits on the back right here. It's not on the shoulder line. So that's just something to keep in mind. And yeah, I think it's going to look really cute. So far it looks like it's going to fit pretty nicely and still, you know, kind of snug, but not like really, really tight. And so I'm happy about that, but I still have a ways to go. I don't want this to be cropped, and I still have, so this is my second ball of yarn still left over, and I still have one more skein. So I'm kind of hoping that it uses, cables do use a lot more yarn than like plain stock knit, and so I'm just curious to see how much more of the body the second skein of yarn is going to get me and how much of the third one I'm going to use. It would kind of suck to have like almost a whole skein left over because it is sport weight. It's kind of a weird leftover like sport weight yarn to have. Usually fingering your DK weight like scraps or leftover skeins are a little easier to incorporate into other projects, but sport weight seems kind of specific, I guess. So we'll see, but again, I'd rather have more yarn than not enough yarn for a project, so it's all good. And yeah, I think this top, you know, I mentioned, you know, I don't want it to be cropped, and the pattern is not meant to be cropped. Obviously you can crop it if you want, but the pattern does have, I think, the body length to be pretty like length, normal length, not normal length, like just not cropped. What is the word I'm looking for? Just not cropped. So I do still have a ways to go if I'm following the pattern measurements. But yeah, it's going well. I just need to like tell myself to work on this a little bit at a time, just because sometimes I'm in the mood for working with cables and bobbles, and sometimes I'm not. And really just depends on if I want to stare at my charts and computer to work on this, or if I just want to like watch TV and work on something mindless. But it's looks really cute. I love the yarn color. I love how it's turning out. So it's all working out really nicely, I think. So that is the Mahla top by Sari Nordlund. Okay. Next up, I have oh my gosh, the yarn is just, I need to have a better system for where I put my projects to talk about, because they're all just like piled onto each other on a chair next to me. That's how I do it. This is my one and only test knit on my needles right now, but it's a good one. This is my Vice Versa Shawl by Bridget, and which way do I show it? I mean, I'm gonna show it both ways here. Let me show it like this. Isn't it so cute? Okay, so this is a brioche, 2-color brioche shawl in a very nicely constructed way. I really like how this is constructed, and I'll tell you why after I tell you the yarn I'm using. So I'm using 2 different yarn types and colors for this. First one is the Rerum Natura Ulysse yarn in the colorway Dore, D-O-R-E, which is this golden yellow color that you can see on this side mostly. And then on the other side, my second color, I am using my Handspun. It was a Rambouillet fiber braid from Big Little Yarn Co. in the colorway Satsumaimo Pie. And it has these really, really pretty purples, different shades of purples all across, and also some sections of like a almost yellowy, peachy tan, and that's kind of what made me feel like it would look really good with that yellow Dore color, golden color. So yeah, so you can see that on that side, and then the other color on the other side, because it's 2-color brioche. And I think from last time, I want to say, is this my stitch marker from last time? I don't have a cute stitch marker I usually put cute stitch markers for marking where I was in the last week, but I don't know. This also was on a decrease row, and so maybe it was just marking my decrease rows. But from last time, I'm pretty sure I was probably around the tip here, and so I just finished this first side, this first half of the shawl. Oh man, I feel like I might be talking in not a great order about details about this shawl, but okay, I finished the first half of the shawl in the past 2 weeks, so I finished up, but okay, it's half because in the middle here is which way do I show? Oh, maybe this way, actually. There's an I-cord spine right in the middle here, and so you make the spine first, the I-cord first, and then you pick up and you knit one half. And what's really nice about this project is that it is a triangular shape. So the way I'm holding it here, this top part is all straight, but as you can see on the bottom, it decreases up to the top on this half, and it'll do the same on the other half. So it'll be a triangle shape. But what's really nice is because you are working from the middle outwards, and then for the second half, again, pick up the middle and out, you are always decreasing. And so you won't ever, I think, feel like if you started, sometimes triangular shawls, right, you start at one end where you have like 3 stitches, and then you're increasing, and then you're like, oh my gosh, it's taking forever, because increasing just always feels like it takes forever, and then you decrease. This one, you are always decreasing, which I think is really nice, and just makes it feel, again, you probably get the same amount of knitting done, right? But it just feels better to always be decreasing. So that is kind of the construction of this shawl. But what also makes this really fun is that it's 2-color brioche, and on one half you have, one of your colors be kind of like that main knit stitch of the brioche, and so it's kind of like that main color that shines through. And then on the other half, it is your other color that is that main brioche knit stitch. And so you can see both of those colors on both sides, and it's, reversed on the other side as well. And so that's also really fun. So you'll always get to see both colors on any side that you are working on this, wrong or right side. And I think that that's really awesome too. So this has been really fun to work on. I love this yarn as well. It's just so good. I know it's going to be so warm. It's so squishy. The brioche stitch makes it feel extra squishy as well. It's just going to be so good. So good. So yeah, I finished the first half, and then I picked up and I started doing the second half, as you can probably see here. And one thing, so this is a great project for 2-color brioche because that's the whole thing. And it is good practice for me as well for the brioche decreases, because I feel like I've always I must have done both kinds, like a left decrease and a right decrease in brioche. I've probably done both at some point, but I think that there is one that is easier to do. And I think that is the left decrease, the brioche left decrease is easier to do, I think. And the one that I've done more commonly, and in my recent brioche knits this year, it's always, I think, been the left decrease and not the right decrease. And so I might have gotten the order switched up, but I think the first half, the decreases are the left decreases, and on the second half, they are right decreases. Yeah, I think so. I think that is correct. So it's good practice for me to get those decreases kind of like worked out and figured out. And once you kind of, once you get the pattern in your head, This is a really easy project to also knit on without looking at the instructions. So that's also been really great. Oh, there are going to be 2 sizes for this pattern, and I am knitting the smaller size, size 1. I am using US 3 needles, 3.25 millimeter needles to knit this because my brioche is usually very big, very loose, and so I size down my needles from what the pattern has, but that is a me thing, and so I knew that and sized down, and sizing so far is working out really nicely. Let me just, I don't know, hold it up in a different way maybe so for you to see what this is looking like. I really am loving these color choices. My friends also helped me make this color choice, and so I'm just overall very happy about it. Oh, I don't know if I talked about this in the last video about my handspun yarn and how it's working up in this pattern, but and then also last week I didn't have a regular podcast episode, but I did upload my Spin With Me episode 2 video where I am spinning this yarn, this purpley colored handspun Rambouillet yarn, and so yeah, you get to see that video on me spinning that, and now you can see it all kind of knit up here in this brioche. And I did want to just like show you all that the way that I spun this yarn was I did a chain ply, which keeps the color order of how you spin it and also makes barber pulling happen a little less. And so you can see, and that it's also chain plying also creates a yarn that's a bit more self-striping, a more traditional self-striping yarn. I think if you do a fractal, you also get some striping but then you get a lot of barber pulling. So in this one, you kind of get more solid stripes of yarn color, and you can see that as it's worked up here, just like those more solid stripes of color coming out, especially like when it's the dark color. And so yeah, if I hold it out here, you can see those more solid stripes of color in the handspun, and I really love that. I love that so much. Okay, and I thought that I stopped at a great point on this shawl, at least to talk on the podcast, because I finished my first ball of my Rerum Natura yarn. So my first ball of yarn for that, I only got 2 balls of yarn for the shawl, and I'm over halfway done, and so I'm not worried about running out of yarn for that color, the golden kind of mustardy yellow color. But yeah, so this is what got me, this is how far that 1 ball of yarn got me. And then for my handspun, I still have this much of my first skein. I don't anticipate having to use my second skein, it kind of seems like, but I do have the second one just in case. Oh, it looks so cute like this too. I love it. Okay, and I feel like I want to say something. When I was thinking about this, because I already love this version so much, I was like, I want to also make the bigger version. I would have made the bigger version, except that my yardage for my handspun was a little under the estimated yardage for the larger shawl, and I didn't want to risk it. So I might have been okay, but I just didn't want to risk it. So I made the smaller one, but I do want to make the larger size eventually, maybe soon. And I had this idea because I was like, well, if 2 braids of yarn might potentially not get me enough yardage to make the larger size, it would be not hard, but like I have so much single braids of colored fiber that I could do a combo spin, right? To use 3 braids into a combo spin so I can get enough skeins to definitely be okay yardage wise to make the larger version of this. But for me, I just sometimes, I don't know what it is, but I just like the original color of braids. And unless, I haven't really done a combo spin, at least combo spin for colors. I don't think I have anyway. And I just want to see like the original colors in the braid. I don't want them to mix up. Even though I love other people's combo spins, I think they look gorgeous. I'm worried that maybe it'll look muddy for me if I don't choose the right colors to go together. Sometimes I love the braid itself and I just want to see it by itself. But anyway, so I was like, I could do a combo spin, but I don't really want to. But I have so many pretty single braids of fiber. This is my long way of saying I think my plan for the larger version of this shawl will be to do one half with one braid of fiber and the other half with a different braid of fiber. And okay, then you might be like, well, if you're worried about two braids not making enough yarn with one color, how could you do one and then one? But I think it would be okay. Like maybe I could just spin those slightly smaller. But I feel better about as far as like using up fiber from my, sorry, I am now just like talking. But yeah, I just feel like if I have a lot of amazing fiber in my stash now and I want to use them up, and I think it'd be really great to use multiple, instead of trying to buy duplicates of a colorway to make one project, if I could use what I have, 2 different braids. I could even do 3 different braids, right? And do like different sections. That would be fun too. Oh, what if I could have half be like 2 different colors and the other half be 2 different braid colors as well. And then have like one color be the consistent throughout the rest, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like my color 2 will be the 2, 3, 4 different fiber braids used in different sections, and then my color 1 for the shawl is just one color throughout. So it has some kind of like consistency throughout, but then I have multiple different fiber braid colors also showcased. That would be fun. I would like to do that, I think. That's my plan. But I have a lot of things planned, so I don't know when I'll get to it, but that is what I want to do for the bigger version of this shawl as well. But this is going to be, I did this last time. I did a little try on of this. It's so cute. It's going to be so cute and so wearable. So, this is very exciting. I love this. This is a test knit, so the pattern's not out yet, but it's going to be out for Flock Fiber Festival in August. And it's a collaboration between Bridget, the designer, and We Chickadee for fiber. There's like a special fiber braid that Bridget used her version for. That's going to be, I'm pretty sure, available for Flock, and also in collaboration with La Mercerie. So that's really fun. So exciting. So yeah, I think that's all the details I've had and all the progress I have for this shawl for the past 2 weeks. And so we'll see how far I get in the next week. I just need to get my other ball of my color number 1. I think it's my color number 1 for the shawl. But yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Okay, and then I have, let's see. Okay, now we're on to my new cast-ons section for the week. I have 3 new cast-ons, which sound potentially like a lot, but this next one is expected, I think, for the new cast-ons. I feel like it almost doesn't count. I started my second Stella quilt cushion, patterned by Laura Penrose, in the exact same colors as my first one, at least for the front part, for the design part of it. And it's been 2 weeks. And so that means progress-wise, I have the entire front of this done for the second pillow. I think every 4 weeks, which I'm hoping I can get one pillow done every 4 weeks. But my videos are going to look like the same, because this front part is going to look the same, in the same colors, in the same order. Done on purpose. If you haven't watched my previous videos, the reason why I'm making so many, the plan is 5 Stella quilt cushions with the same front, is because I want them to be Christmas presents for my cousins this Christmas. And I think it'd be really cute if we all had matching pillows, knitted pillow cases. And the only difference between them is going to be the colorway that I use on the back of the pillow. And, the plan for today was actually going to show you my finished first Stella quilt cushion. I did show it last weekend, and I had a pillow in it. But the pillow was too small. Did I say last week? No, 2 weeks ago. The pillow was too small. When I went to Portland last weekend, I bought a pillow from IKEA because they had a 20-inch by 20-inch pillow, and I thought, perfect. That pillow, I feel like, is too squishy. It flattens too easily. I don't like how it looks in this pillowcase, and so I need to buy another 20-inch by 20-inch pillow to see if I like it better, because I want to also buy the pillow inserts for my cousins as well, so that I know it fits well on it. So anyway, I don't have a great pillow insert for my first version yet, but I also needed to wash and block it, and I did that last night, so not quite thinking how long it would take to dry. It is still so wet, and I think the reason for that is because it is DK weight, but I'm using fingering weight held double, and so it's a really thick fabric, and it's a pillowcase, so that means there's this fabric plus another, right, the backing on it, so it's like 2 layers to dry. Plus, I am doing the envelope closure, which is just a flap to close, and so during the top part of the pillow, there are 3 layers of this on top of each other, and so it's just going to take forever to dry. So maybe next week, maybe 2 weeks from now, I will have a finished one. Actually, if it's 2 weeks from now, I might have 2 finished ones to show you on the podcast. But anyway, if this is the first time you're hearing about me working on the Stella quilt cushion, really quickly, the yarn I am using for the front of this pillow, all of the contrast colors, I'm using 8 different contrast colors. They are all from Woolberry. They're all the berry cashmere base, and they are all colorways from the Woolberry Anne of Green Gables collection, I think a couple years ago. I have all of the colorway names in the description down below just because there are so many. I am knitting the DK weight size. I'm using US 4 needles, 3.5 millimeter needles to knit this. I had to size down like 2 needle sizes because the gauge is small. So, and my pillowcase might actually be a little bigger than the pattern, so I need to kind of like figure that out. I might need a bigger pillow insert. I don't know. I'll figure it out once my first version is done drying. But this is the second one. The front at least. Here's the back of it. I weave in the ends as I go once I finish each square, and this part is still fun to work on. The back is going to be a bit of a struggle, but to make it more interesting for myself, I am planning on the back of each of the pillows being a different color for each cousin, using their favorite color. For this next one, I am going to knit with the back a green color, and this is one that I'm planning on dyeing all of these yarns as well for the back of the pillows, just because I think that would be extra fun, and also because I don't have yarn. I want to use a solid color yarn for the back, and I don't really have too many solid colors in my stash. I have a lot of variegated and also not enough yarn to knit the back of this pillow. So I'm planning on dyeing the yarn for the backs of these pillows. And so this is the first one. I'm going to be using this green color. I think it looks really fun and it looks really happy. It's like a happy green. I'm hoping that it'll look cute with the rest of the colors for the back. It is a bit more bright than the rest of the colors, but I guess, you know, like, I mean, it looks cute with these, I think. So as far as for the entire back of the pillow, I'm hoping it'll look okay. We will see. Oh, and also I am also dyeing the main color for the front, which is this white color. It's just white, so it's not too terrible. I am just dyeing the bare yarn with a small amount of gray colored dye, and so that's how I'm getting it to be slightly less yellow. But yeah, so the plan for the second pillow is going to be a green background, a light green background, because I'm also one of the other ones I think I'm going to try and do a darker green. So we'll see. But I think that this came out really nice. I think that's cute. So that is my Stella quilt cushion number 2. And let's see. So that was a new cast on, but it's also will be new cast ons for like some time, you know? Next one is, oh my gosh, like these new cast-ons are all like green. I mean, the Stella quilt cushion is going to be green. I didn't knit with the green yet, but the next two is with a green yarn. Crazy, who am I? Oh, I'm wearing a green tank top today. Green is my new favorite color. Pink will always be my favorite color, but I think green is like becoming like a new second favorite color. Yeah. Did I say that right? Okay, anyway, new cast on. This was the one project that I cast on to bring on the my trip last weekend, because I wanted to have a smaller project. It's a tank top. But then I didn't finish enough of it to do the stockinette in the round body because I got stuck in the lace, but I did the lace anyway on the trip. Let me hold it up so you can see it. Can you see it? It's so dark that the camera might, I don't know how much of the camera will pick it up. Oh no, it's picking it up. Just making it look really bright. This is the Rococo top by Sari Nordlund, and the yarn I am using is Woolberry Fiber Coat Berry Merino base in the colorway Nook. I think everyone loves this colorway, and this is my first time knitting with it, and I love it. It's really pretty. I am knitting size 2. I am using US 4 needles, 3.5 millimeter needles, and that's for the main part of the body, and US 2.5 or 3 millimeter needles for the ribbing and for like the I-cord edging. Okay, so this is knit top down. The front and back lace, as you can see, is the same for the front and back. I did make a mistake. For an entire panel of lace, I knit with the wrong needle size. You're supposed to knit the lace with the smaller needle size. And for one of them, I knit with the bigger needle size. But to be honest, looking at it now, sizing wise, it kind of, I don't know. Can you even tell a difference? Can you tell? Who knows? Maybe my lace knitting is just like, doesn't change too much depending on needle size, but I did that and I was like, I cannot rip it out and go back. It didn't seem like sizing was going to be an issue, so I just kept going. I knit the second lace, I don't know if it was the front or back, with the smaller needle size, and seriously, I can't really tell a difference, and if there is a difference, it's kind of small. So there's that, but look how pretty the lace is. I did not put the baubles in here. I am already working on the Mahla top by Sari Nordlund, and that has baubles, and I was like, no to baubles on this, and so no baubles, but it still looks very, very pretty. It looks so intricate. The lace chart is quite large, and so, I mean, okay, it's not wide, it's just very long. Like, the whole lace chart is, there's no, it's from the top all the way to the bottom. There's no, like, repeated to go lengthwise. But it is very, very pretty. I have had this pattern in my Ravelry library for a while, and so I thought it was also a great time to, well, one, it's summertime, and so I want to knit more tank tops, and I already had this pattern. I want to knit more of the patterns that I already have and paid for in my, or maybe I got this as from one of the test knitting, but yeah, I wanted to knit it. Thought it'd be a good opportunity to. And also because this Woolberry yarn is one of the Rewind colorways from last year, and one of my goals this year is to use up all of my Woolberry Rewind yarn this year. I'm slightly off track, so I thought, let's get back on track and knit this top. So it hits a lot of good goals for this year, so I'm very happy with it. I finished my first ball of yarn. As you can see, I connected under the arms. I finished my first ball of yarn around here. I started the ribbing just a little bit. And then I used my second ball of yarn to do the I-cord edgings at the top here, because the top is a provisional cast on, so you put it back on your needles and do an I-cord edging. And then the armholes, it's very interesting how it's done. If you haven't done one of these types of pattern from Sari before, the armhole I-cord is on this side is actually done while you knit it, but you do have to do a Kitchener stitch for it at the very bottom, and you do a pickup. The instructions are pretty clear. I think you do a pickup to do the I-cord straps. One modification sizing-wise I did, which I think was kind of significant, was how much to knit after the chart, the lace chart, to knit and stockinette before joining for the underarms. And I will check once I'm finished like blocking and stuff, the actual final measurements, but for this armhole depth, at least without the strap, from the top of the lace to wherever you stop to join the underarms, I think for my size, and even if I went down a size, I think I shortened it by like 2 inches, a lot of inches. I think it was the Couture top in this style from Sari Nordlund before, and I followed the measurements of the pattern, didn't really think about it, but the armhole depth was really low on me, and I didn't really like that, and so this time I was very like conscious on that sizing, and so I think I just did 2 rows under, like after the lace chart, and then I followed the instructions for joining under the arm. And for the I-cord straps, I also made them a lot shorter than the pattern states for this size, just because I think my armholes might just be, like my arm, the depth is just really short, maybe, compared to some sizing charts. So yeah, even at this, like it is kind of long. Anyway, you'll see it when I finish it and when I wear it on the podcast. But as it is right now, it fits just right, and so I'm very happy about that. And this is a very cropped top, I think. Well, okay, not very cropped, but it is right at the length where I would want to lengthen it. But I think I'm not planning on it. Actually, okay, what I'm trying to say is, you might look at this and be like, wow, I started the ribbing so early. It looks like it's going to be very short. But the ribbing on this pattern, it's actually 5 inches of stockinette, at least for my size. Again, I don't have the other sizes memorized, but for this size at least, 5 inches of stockinette under the arm, and then 5 inches of ribbing. And so the ribbing isn't just going to be like a short little section, it's going to be a very like long section. And I think that the design would look a little, or the resulting top might look different. Like, you could just make the stockinette longer and then do a shorter rib section. You know, you could play with those, like, dimensions of, like, rib to stockinette body. But I'm very interested to see how it would look with the recommended 5 inches stockinette, 5 inches of ribbing. So it was like half and half. Because it looks cute on Sari. So that's what I'm going to do. That's the plan. So 5 inches of stockinette, and I might not even have 1 inch of ribbing yet. So I have a long way to go on the ribbing, but should be interesting. But yeah, this is what I have so far on the Rococo top. Very, yeah. What do we think about this color on me? I don't know. I don't normally wear these kinds of colors, but I can't, honestly, I can't tell. But I like it. I like this color. Okay, that's a Rococo top, and next is another green project, new cast on. There's not much. This looks like nothing right now. I am making the Dew Tea by Fiber Tales. I think, I was going to check and I forgot. She posted this top, I think, a couple summers ago. Maybe it was 1 summer ago, but I could also see it being 2 summers ago. And it wasn't even like, I think she was just wearing it, and I was like, oh, that top is so cute. Where's the pattern? And I was just waiting, and it finally came out this past week, and I was like, I need to immediately cast on because I feel like I've been waiting so long for this pattern because I think it's so cute. It is worked bottom up, and so right now it just looks like nothing. I just have a tube of stockinette in the round, and it's rolling up really badly, and so, you know, but there's seriously nothing to see. It is just stockinette knitting right now. But I will try and describe it to you if you haven't seen it. It is a drop shoulder top t-shirt, and it has, what makes it, I think, really cute to me is that has a crochet scalloped edging at the bottom, which is done after you knit it, because you can't, you have to knit the body first before you do the crochet edging. And it has a slight v-neck, and there's a little bow at the top. And I love bows, I love scallop edging, and so it just kind of all hits like all the things that I like. And I think it's really cute, and so yeah, I just felt like I needed to cast this on. And I had yarn in stash, so that made it perfect. Speaking of yarn, the yarn that I've decided to use for this is Explorer Knits Rockies DK in the colorway Snoqualmie, which is from the Seattle collection. I have a few skeins of this, and I had it kind of like planned for another project, but then I was like, I don't know if I want to use it for that project anymore. So I was very happy that this pattern came out, and I was like, oh, I want to use it for this pattern. And I think it's going to look really cute in this green color. I am knitting size 1. There's a lot of positive ease in this pattern. I think it might be like 8 or 10 inches of positive ease. And I'm using US 5 needles, 3.75 millimeter needles. And okay, this is not a great reason for me to size up, because usually I need to size down, but the pattern calls for US 4 needles. I'm using US 5, and the only reason for it is because all of my US 4 needles are on other projects that I am too lazy to have to take off projects and to use it to knit on this and to kind of keep switching them. I'm just too lazy for it. And US 3, I think I also have on other projects, and so I just went with US 5. I checked my gauge on like US 6 needles, and that was too big, so I was like, if I size down to US 5, I think it'll be close enough. So far, I measured what I have. Of course, it's not blocked. I don't usually gauge swatch for things that are not test knits, but I checked what I knit so far, and it seems to be pretty close on gauge, so I'm just going to keep going with it. Yeah. This is, though, I'm pretty sure the first time I'm knitting with the Rocky's DK base from Exploreknits, which I find kind of surprising because, yeah, I mean, I've been knitting and love Exploreknits yarn, and so it's, yeah, just kind of weird. Like, this is the first time I'm using the Rocky's DK base, and the reason why I had this thought, or like, it's such a, first time I'm using this base, is because my friend Megan talked about this Rocky's DK base in a previous podcast episode of hers, and how the ply on this yarn is like unbalanced. It is also I got distracted because there is a knot in this yarn, so I need to undo that before I make that worse. This yarn is a 8-ply, no, hold on, let me untwist it so I can see it. Oh my gosh. Is it 8-ply? Or is it... Yeah, it's 8-ply, but it's 2-ply. It's 4 2-plies plied together. So if you like unwound the yarn, okay, you definitely won't be able to see it, but if you unwind it, or you untwist it, sorry, there's 4 strands that pop out, or kind of like, you can see that the 4 strands were twisted together, but each of the 4 strands are 2 plies. And I think that they're all twisted in the same direction or something. This is not something I would have been interested in or understood at all if I wasn't spinning my own yarn. But yeah, I do find that very interesting. And so this does kind of create the unbalanced yarn that makes one leg of your like stockinette knit stitch look a little more twisted or lean towards one way. And I can see it a little bit, but it's not something that bothers me at all. Who knows? We'll see and wait until the final the final piece is done to see how much that really kind of like affects how I like it, how it feels, how it looks. But right now it doesn't bother me. But yeah, it was just something I was curious to notice and work with after I saw Megan talk about it, because I was like, wait, I don't think I have knit with a Rocky's DK base. So now I finally am. And in the Snoqualmie color Seattle collection, just makes me so happy. So that is all I have for this duty right now. Just boring stockinette, but it's going to look super cute. Okay, and that is all of my new cast-ons and my works in progress for this week. Moving on to my spinning, I have some spinning updates for you. Okay, I finally finished spinning my one braid of the Little Fiberco Rambouillet in the Eclipse colorway. This is so pretty. I didn't think I would love like this dark black, brown, red, orangey color so much, but it is so pretty spun up like this. I love it a lot. As you can see, this is one braid. I didn't weigh it, but it's probably around 4 ounces. That's kind of how it was advertised. Fits really nicely with still a lot of room left on this bobbin. This bobbin is for my ladybug wheel. And so, yeah, one braid fits really nicely on here. And I finished this. And, yeah, my plan for this, again, is I have 3 different colorways from Little Fiberco that came from the In the Clouds collection. And I want to do a 3-ply and have all of those 3 colors be that 3-ply. So this is the first one, so I'm a third of the way there as far as spinning the singles. And I started the second color, and this color is the most different from the 3, because that one is like, the first one, Eclipse, is like a variegated brown, dark, moody colors. The third one I'm going to spin is like the tonal version of that, but the second braid that I'm spinning, so different. Pink, purple, peachy colors, and I'm excited but also very nervous for my plan to ply all of these together. I'm just like hoping it won't look weird to have this really bright pink and purple with mixed in and plied, doing the barber pulling thing with the darker colors. But we'll see. All for experimentation. But yeah, so this colorway is Sunset Vibes. Definitely Sunset Vibes. I have the fiber kind of rolled up here so that you can see it in fiber form as well. The way I split up this fiber is the same way I split up the other one, and I'll probably do the same for the third braid as well. I split it into 4, tried to eyeball equal parts lengthwise, and then I'm just spinning end to end for each of those, one right after the other. And so this one, I just finished one of those sections, and so I'm 1/4 of the way done with this braid. So yeah, here it is. You can see it. Looks very cute, very pink, very happy. And I love Rambouillet wool. Oh my gosh, I think it is one of my new favorite fibers to spin with. So it's been working up really nicely, and I'm just really excited to spin on this project. It's going to take, I think, a bit more time. I'm hoping to get more time dedicated to spinning in the next few weeks, because I want to clear my spinning wheel for some other fun, exciting projects coming up soon for spinning, but also because my plan for this final spin is to knit the Traveler Shawl by Andrea Mowry with this yarn, and I want to knit it. Well, part of it is I want to knit it for the Spin It to Knit Along that she has, and it's a year long, but I think it started earlier this year, so I still have the rest of this year and part of next year, I think. So I'm not really pressed on time. And again, if I don't get it within the knit along, it's not super a big deal to me either, but it just would be kind of fun. So anyway, this is my current spin right now. Sunset Vibes from Little Fiber Co. Rambouillet wool. And that is all I have for my spinning updates, but now it's time to talk about some acquisitions, and let me start with the fiber acquisitions. So okay, let me start with the actual acquisitions. So I made a fiber, undyed fiber order from Paradise Fibers. I got a whole bunch of fiber tops undyed because I want to dye my own fiber as well. And I have been dyeing a lot of yarn behind the scenes the past few weeks, and I was like, I want to dye some fiber. So, and I'm like kind of running out of undyed fiber to dye. So let me show you some undyed fiber, but I also did dye some fiber that I want to show you on here as well. So I'll show you that after this too. So first up, let me just show you this whole package. I got 16 ounces of Mountain Meadows Cormo top. I really like spinning with Cormo the one time. Did I spin it twice? At least one time I spun with it. I really liked it, and I want more Cormo fiber to spin. And so I got 16 ounces of this Mountain Meadow Cormo, and I wanted to know what the heck the difference was between that and this other Cormo. I don't know what the I don't know what the difference is. One was Mountain Meadow. I think the pricing might have been slightly different too. This other one was just a Cormo top from Paradise Fibers, and so I got 16 ounces of each of them. If I touch them, this is my favorite part about fiber, is just touching them. I'm not sure. This one might feel softer, slightly, but I think it's hard to tell. You can tell more also once you actually spin it, and also once you spin it, ply it, wash it, dry it, and do all of that. So it should be interesting, but I got 16 ounces of each. Lots of Cormo to play with. And then, because I love Rambouillet, I also got 16 ounces of Rambouillet wool to play with as well. I'm really excited to try and dye these fibers. The last time, or last time I dyed some fiber, I really felt it, which is kind of sad. And so I want to have more practice dyeing fiber and not felting it. And so that should be pretty fun. I also got some new dye colors. I think I might have mentioned that maybe a couple weeks ago. And so I want to dye more fiber and yarn. So yeah, 16 ounces of that Rambouillet. And then just for fun, because I was looking on the website and I also wanted free shipping, I think you need to spend over a certain amount to get free shipping. I was like, let me try like a fun fiber. I got 1 ounce of this Angora fiber. And 1 ounce is in this like this little thing, and Angora is like this rabbit. It's really soft. And I've seen about this fiber, but it's like kind of expensive. I think for 1 ounce it's like $12. But I really just wanted to try it. It's so soft. It's so soft. It feels so nice. I'm kind of like worried, like, do I want to, I hope, like if I dye this, I'm worried I'm going to felt it. And then that would be really sad because it's so soft. And I don't want to ruin such like a nice fiber. But, oh, it's so soft. It's so soft. So that's really exciting just to have like a little sampling of that new kind of fiber. Don't know when I'll get to it, to dye it, to spin it, but it's fun to have just in case one day I'm feeling like it. And yeah, that was it for my big Paradise Fiber purchase, to get some practice dyeing some fiber. And then I also, let's see, okay, I guess now I can show you. I did have some fiber, undyed fiber from Bridget a little while ago, and yeah, she kindly sent some to me so that I could practice dyeing some fiber, and that is exactly what I did with some of these. And so I can show you some of my experiments now. Oh, I hope you like them. Let me know what you think. Okay. I don't know why I'm scared. Okay, I'm just gonna show it to you all. So this is my first one. I wanted to go really like bright. I wanted to see, because some of my other fiber dyeing has been really like light pastels and not very saturated colors. And so this time around I wanted to try and go like, let's go dark colors, or just like, you know, saturated colors. So this one I feel like I think it's fun. There's a lot of pink in here, but also the green and blue. And some yellow, but the yellow didn't really come out super strong in this braid. But yeah, this is one of the braids that I dyed, and I think is pretty fun. The yarn, I mean, the fiber feels pretty rough, and so I don't know if or when I want to spin this, or if I do, I probably would be to spin just to see how the colors turn out, and to not actually like use for, I don't know, I could use it for something. But yeah, it feels pretty rustic for a fiber to use for like against skin project, but perfect for practicing dyeing some fiber. And then for that same fiber, I also don't know what fiber this is, so I have no idea. But this is my second one. This one, okay, when I was picking the colors out for this, I was like, ooh, I don't know if I'm going to like that color combination. But on the braid, I love how these colors turned out. I have like a yellow, a brown, a green, and then like 2 different kinds of purple. And I actually really like how this came out. There is also still some white in this that kind of just like showed up in between the colors, because I'm still trying to figure out how like different dyeing styles for fiber. So there's a bit more white in this than the other one, but it's just kind of like how I applied the dye is kind of how that happen. But yeah, this color combination turned out a lot better than I thought it would, and that's also really nice when that happens. So that's braid number 2. And then for all of you blue lovers out there, I made one that is just blues and greens. And this one was a different fiber, and so you'll see it looks a little different. A little less rough, but still, you know, it's not as soft as like merino or something, or Rambouillet. But are you ready? Here's the blue. I again just love how this one turned out. Let me like roll it into a little thing here. Yeah, all the blues and greens. I just wanted to see what it would look like to have just kind of like a similar colored fiber braid all around. And I think I used 5 different blues and greens in here. And I tried a different dyeing style for this, and so it is more, at least I was trying to do more like sectioned off colors, hopefully less bleeding in between colors, and less white. I was aiming for like no white sections, undyed sections in it, and I think it worked out pretty okay actually. It looks so cute like this. So I was thinking about this and I was like, isn't it interesting that I feel like some of my dyeing experiments are like not colors that I particularly like a lot, aka just like not pink. And I wonder if it's because I love pink and I'm so particular about the shades of pink that I like that I am almost too scared to dye stuff pink, because I'm going to just like, if it's not perfect, I'm going to like not like it. But if it's with other colors, I can like appreciate the other colors more for some reason. But that could just me being weird about having too high expectations for the colors I come out with. But I think each of them have, you know, they all have their own personality. They're all, I think, really fun, and it's really fun to dye up the colors. I think I'm getting into the hang of it a little more, dyeing fiber at least, so that's been really fun. Also dyeing yarn, so super exciting. I really love this blue braid. So these are some of my dyeing experiments. I'm hoping to show more of my dyeing experiments on here as well. I'm hoping to dye more yarn this weekend, so maybe I'll have more to show you in next week's video. But yeah, so that is some of my dyeing experiments. And then I do just have one more acquisition. This is a yarn acquisition, but also a really, really exciting one. I got yarn from Coast to Coast Yarn. I've been loving Coast to Coast Yarn right now. I got Classic Sock Base and Suri Cloud. This is the first time that I got the Suri base from her, although I'm pretty sure it's like the same Suri base as most other hand-dyed yarn. But both in the colorway Milkweed. It is so cute and perfect. It's just the cutest pink with the cutest little speckles on there. And it looks so good in both the Classic Sock Base and in the Suri. And so I felt like I had to get both. I got 2 skeins of each. My plan for this is to make a Bennett Sisters shawl. I think that's what it's called. I haven't made one yet. I've just been waiting for the right yarn combination and the right yarn amounts for me to have, and I really wanted this colorway. I thought it'd be perfect for that shawl. And yeah, I've been eyeing this colorway since Erin from Coast to Coast Yarn showed this on her Instagram, and it was like a in-store only colorway because she has a storefront now. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wish that I could go to her store so I could get this colorway. And thankfully, she did a pre-order for this colorway, like just this colorway, probably like a month ago or something. And so I was like, it is my time to order it, because otherwise, you have to go to her store in person to get it. So yeah, 2 skeins of each. It's so cute. I love this pink. And I love the speckles. Her speckles are the best. So that is my one yarn acquisition this week. So yeah, lots of fiber happening and lots of projects, lots of yarn dyeing, lots of fiber dyeing, lots of exciting things coming up soon. Can't wait to kind of talk more about it. But yeah, this video I think is getting a little long, and so I'm going to end it here. I mean, that was like all the updates anyway, so yeah, lots of exciting things happening. It is, gosh, it's the end of June. What the heck? Where did the time go? It is already summer as well, so time's just flying. But that also means that Flock is coming up soon, and that's really exciting as well. I can't wait to see everyone and to see all of the vendors, see all of the yarn, see all of the fiber. Yeah, I'm just like trying to work through my stash right now and trying to work through some of the yarn I got from Flock last year to feel better about buying more stuff at Flock this year. I think I've been really good from not buying too much yarn and fiber this year. I bought a lot of undyed fiber and yarn, that is true. But I feel like it almost doesn't count, because it is cheaper than buying a hand-dyed braid of fiber and hand-dyed yarn, and I'm dyeing it myself, and so that's a different hobby, right? So that doesn't count towards the knitting and the yarn collecting hobby, right? So anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I'm really happy to be back. I know it's only been 1 week of me not doing a podcast video, but I'm happy to be back. I hope you enjoyed the spinning video last week. If you watched it, I enjoy making them. They're just gonna take a more time to edit than the regular podcast videos, but I do enjoy it. I find it really relaxing. So I hope you also enjoy it. And yeah, with that, I hope you all have a great day. I hope you are crafting on the things that you love to work on, and I'll see you in next week's video. Bye!